All right, let's break down another story in this crazy world that we live in. A story that hits on the core of why the right to self-defense is so crucial. A woman in Warren, Michigan shot and killed her ex-boyfriend after he allegedly forced his way into her home and chased her down. Now, this isn't just a story of a tragic end to an on and off again relationship. It's about what happens when someone thinks they can intimidate, threaten, or harm someone else and doesn't expect them to fight back.
New at 11, Warren police believe a deadly shooting is likely a result of domestic violence.
This all happened around 4:30 this afternoon at a home near 10 Mile and Gross Beck. Investigators say a 33-year-old woman admitted to shooting a 29-year-old man after he allegedly forced his way into the home. They say the man died at the hospital after being shot in the chest. We're told the man and woman had been dating on and off, and there's a history of domestic violence at the home. No word yet on charges.
Now, one thing I've always said is that losing control of your emotions, especially when you're filled with anger and aggression, can put you in the early grave. In this case, the ex-boyfriend thought he could force his way in and what? Scare her into submission? Well, he learned the hard way that when you break into someone's home, especially someone you've had a violent history with, you're crossing a line that could cost you your life. But here's where it gets nuanced. We're talking about domestic violence, and unfortunately, it's often not as one-sided as people assume. Sure, there are cases where one person is clearly the aggressor, but a lot of these situations can have layers, meaning violence sometimes escalates from both sides. Yet, in this instance, I think it's pretty clear. Once he broke into her house and chased her, the legal odds shifted. So let's talk castle doctrine, for instance. When someone forces their way into your home, especially someone who you have a violent history with, the law often is going to give you more latitude to defend yourself. Now, I didn't see anything in the reports about him carrying a weapon, but let me ask you this. Does it really matter when a guy's literally breaking into your home to chase you down? Not really. And here's why. There's something called disparity of force. If a 200-pound guy is coming at a 120-pound woman, she doesn't have to wait for him to pull out a knife or a gun to feel threatened enough to defend herself. If he's charging at her, especially in her own home, there's a good chance that deadly force would be justified. That's the reality of self-defense. The force you use has to match the threat you're facing, and sometimes that threat is simply physical strength and proximity. Now, this isn't just theoretical. Think about it this way. If a 6'5" bodybuilder charges at a 5'3" woman, she doesn't need to ask for his intentions. But let's say this was two women or a guy defending himself against someone his own size. That's where things get a little murkier, and deadly force might not be as easily justified. But here, I think the context of the domestic violence history plays a big role. This wasn't just a breakup gone bad. This was someone who felt unsafe enough to use deadly force when her ex broke into her home. Look, self-defense isn't always clear-cut. It's more like a spectrum than a checklist. And the reality is, there's a lot of gray area. Sure, if someone's pointing a gun at you saying, "I'm gonna kill you," that's black and white self-defense. But situations like this, they're messy, and you don't have the luxury of waiting for clarity when someone's already violating your personal space in an aggressive way. So what's the takeaway here? The right to self-defense, the right to protect yourself in your own home, is something we should never take for granted. And this story serves as a stark reminder that we live in a world where sometimes your own protection comes down to you and the decisions you make in those split seconds. You can't go through life thinking people won't fight back. Sometimes they will, and sometimes it'll be the last mistake you ever make. And that's exactly why I tell people to think ahead when it comes to self-defense. Having a plan is just as important as having the tools. And that's why I'm always telling people that if you're gonna carry a gun or any tool for self-defense, get some type of legal protection like a membership in the USCCA. They're for law-abiding gun owners who may find themselves in situations where they have to defend their lives or loved ones. With a USCCA membership, you get education, training, and God forbid it ever happens, legal protection in case you find yourself in a self-defense incident. And even if you don't go with USCCA, go with something. Please, because trust me, you don't want to face the legal system after a self-defense shoot alone. Now, if you're serious about protecting yourself and your rights and your peace of mind, click the link in the description section to learn more about how USCCA can help you be better prepared. Because as we've seen today, when seconds count, having a plan can make all the difference. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you, and we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.